For the collage, I added them all into here. So GM is me, so it's rotating around like that.
Okay.
These mics need to go over the wall. We no longer have Lillian.
Oh.
She's an ongoing family emergency. She's no longer able to participate in anything.
Okay.
For the
I knew she was going to be taking a break.
She hasn't quit, but life, got in the way. She hopes in the future she can be back.
Okay.
But she will not make it till the 19th, so she will be gone between now and the end of the season. You see that? Each one is a separate one. And you can totally control them independently, both there and here.
Okay.
They do not have any filters on them currently. So there will be the background noise issues, and every little fidget that people do on the table and such gets picked up until we can get those filters back on. But the good news is really good independent miking. Now that Lillian's not here, I finally got the independent miking working.
Yeah.
Katie will be remote as well as Joe. Katie's still in Seattle. She's got back from England. And she might conk out halfway through just out of exhaustion. She's been going since 4 this morning. And yeah, she's quite tired. So you can basically, on the knobs there, or you can mute here, I guess you can mute Lillian and Katie's microphones.
Okay.
That will have less background noise. And then John will be here. So actually that microphone, because that was meant to be for Lillian, make sure that's flipped off now since Lillian's not here. Save the battery. It'll still stay lit.
Oh, okay. It is off.
Okay. So that microphone will be his. So I'm moving John's stuff out of the way.
Okay. Now,
So
are we
John
still
will be
1, 2, 3,
Yes.
4, 5?
Should be. And you can tell just by looking. So if we go quiet. Yep, they're in the correct order. All right, I will now drag these. And I've got his drawing.
We got remote people and people not coming. I feel a little better. I showed up 10 minutes late.
Hello and welcome to Heroes of the Mist. I'm your host and game master, Hawk Robinson. And apparently Andy is having a Hipsel moment, deer in the headlights moment. And this is April 28th, 2019. We are getting near the end of Season 1 of Heroes of the Mist. May 19th, I believe, is our last scheduled episode for Season 1. No, that's not right. Let's see. Yeah, May 19th. Yep, okay. May 19th. So we've got a few episodes left. Lillian will no longer be able to join us. She's had a family emergency and is unable to continue. Unfortunately, she hopes if there's Season 2 and such that she'll be back again by then.
She's most definitely not tied up in the closet. Great. Thank you for putting that in everybody's mind.
That is correct. She is not.
We don't even have a closet in this room.
How long has it been since you stopped beating your wife, right? Ah! All right.
Wait, we're supposed to stop?
So we are...
Now she beats me.
Now, Joe, were you serious about actually trying to play her character, or were you just joking?
I was joking to begin with, but I'll be happy to take the edge off of, carry some of the weight if you want.
Okay. We can look up the stats for you as needed. Here, John can look those up for you as needed. But yeah, feel free to roleplay her.
Ideally, we won't be rolling for initiative.
Right.
She's got an 18 and everything.
Sounds about right.
It should be easy. Just don't talk much or do anything. With other people,
right?
Able to see.
Yeah, that's the key. Was the whole witnesses thing. Mm-hmm. So he's very secretive that way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure eventually she's going to do something in front of one of us, and then she's just going to have to kill us.
It was nice knowing you.
Oh, not again.
So let's go ahead and introduce everybody. By the way, we do have an artist this week, thankfully, joining us from over in Maryland. We have Joel. Welcome, Joel.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
He will be sketching real time as we describe different things. And I'm amazed his connection's working as well it is because he's doing this over a combination of satellite and cellular.
Oh.
So that's amazing it's working as well as it is. I was quite worried. His setup has worked better than a lot of the others who had broadband and couldn't get their setup working. His just worked. So
where does he say he's coming out of?
Maryland, in the countryside there.
Very cool.
So yeah, we're very glad. You asking for a specific area?
I just like to name.
Sorry, I didn't catch the question.
Are you on the Panhandle? You got like Cumberland or something?
No, I'm closer to the east side of the Pennsylvania border.
Cool. Awesome.
We are very glad to have him here. And so he'll be sketching with pencil, and he also, from time to time, if it gets far enough along, has been playing around with Japanese paintbrushes and such. So, or ink brushes.
Fancy.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and each of you introduce yourselves and your character, and then we'll come around to where we left off last.
John Wilker, assistant DM, and Lindale Stellifolium, the high elf bard,
and really use your voices to help the artist tell who's talking when. So really give the contrast of speaking normally and your character voice.
As I was saying, I'm a high elf bard and part druid.
On your mother's side.
I'm Adam. I'm going to be playing Tormund, who is he's a full-time adventurer now, but a part-time prophet of court on account of he's died and come back for the sins of not putting away your stinky gym towels. And
did you think all of 2 weeks during the interim about that one?
No.
No, okay.
It's called improv.
Yeah. Look out, Joe.
Now, see, you have to understand. Torin is actually Adam's real identity. The Adam persona is the fake
his alternate. One. Okay.
Yes. I really like to be, not so much cruel, but efficiently, tear apart animals and live off the land, out where the wind is sweet, and, grass blows in the breeze, and you don't have all these concerns like money or laws or other people or really anything at all.
Okay.
So a prepper.
Or wood elves.
What was that?
So a prepper.
A prepper?
Well, I mean, it's just common sense. You got to be prepared for the worst because you just don't know where your next meal's coming from. I mean, if you're only 9 meals away from just complete breakdown of entire society, have you thought about investing in gold?
Okay, all right.
What's how's your Mordred bunker going? Developing.
So anyway, Joe, if you want to fill in for Lillian.
I will be filling in for Lillian. I'll be playing her character of River. River is a sea spirit folk, Wujen. She is in the service of the god Ryujin of the sea.
Which none of us still
she
understand.
doesn't quite know what to make of these strange people in this foreign land she's traveling in. There are a lot of people who are very frustrating and don't know how to behave in a polite or civilized manner, and it's very discouraging.
Nice. That's actually pretty well done, Joe. Nicely done. All right. And then also joining us remotely is Katie.
Hello, I'm Katie Coonan. I am playing Moisha Turtlebaum. Moisha is a discouraged dwarf, having second thoughts about having gone adventuring, but he's in it and he's now committed. So he's mostly gotten over the fact that we're all doomed and going to die.
And what class is he?
He is a ranger. Well, he's a tailor, but he is the ranger for the group.
Right.
Ranger, tailor, tinker, dwarf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a leather worker too. So.
I thought tinker was for pots and pans and metal.
It is. But
okay.
Anyway.
Soft metal.
Yes.
We got rid of the
animal hide. And then we have.
I'm Andrew Messersmith. You can call me Becky. Or not. You can call me Andy.
Call
Andrew.
you Clive. You can call you Hyde, or I can.
Just don't call him late for dinner.
Yeah, that's a really weird nickname.
Or a boy named Sue.
And I play Tok, who is a gnome illusionist with a bit of a lilt. I've been having some sinus and throat things over the past week, so my accent's a little bit off and might pop in and out. But he seeks fame and fortune and the secrets to his own mysterious backstory in his and using his attempt to be a famous stage magician, a la David Copperfield and Lance Burton and
his mentor
and people all like that.
His master.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
Basically, he's Willow.
Yes, one of his yes, one of his masters was, of course, Tathar the Magnificent.
Magnificent. Oh,
Which-
everybody's trained now.
Which is just fun to. It's just fun to say because it has that weird accent to it.
Yes. So Joel, his prior most recent training master is a Thry-Kreen, which is basically a 7-8 foot tall humanoid praying mantis.
We don't know his religion. He's just a mantis.
Right.
We don't know who he's praying to.
And he had some sort of interesting auditory effect that anytime anybody says his name, his title part echoes. And so everybody now is well trained that anytime it is said, because the characters actually hear whenever the name is said with the full title, the echo. Whenever you say his name,
No matter
it echoes.
where we are.
No matter where you are, he's long. He is many miles to the south and other planes of existence.
And one of Talk's life goals now is to learn that spell and enchant his own name.
And I think it's like 25th level or something in Rollmaster. So.
Oh, it's actually
something from another system. Yeah,
it's actually a real spell.
Yes,
in some sort of game.
Yeah, it's been enhanced a little bit for the setting, but it comes from an actual spell.
Is it a particular echo, or is it have more options than that?
It has more options than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget which one it is. But
so it's like a enchanted soundboard.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had I need my guitar pedals hooked up so I could like just hit the reverb and such on it.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So, and then also joining us remotely, once again, we have Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe Coonan. I'm playing Ferhod Guarion. Ferhod is a half-elf. He is a fighter thief. He's the only half-elf in his family of 8 siblings, which is difficult sometimes. While his fighter thief is his class, his actual job is contract enforcing. He works for his grandfather's weaving concern in far-off Iridia. Sometimes people buy silks, they buy bolts of cloth, and they do not pay for them. And so sometimes it is necessary to make them pay for them, whether they realize it or not.
And Joe, you're joining us from Seattle. You want to go ahead and do your quick little blurbs?
I am. I have been performing and directing and teaching with Jet City Improv in Seattle, which is also a 501c3 nonprofit. And our summer outreach is just about to begin in the next month or so. We'll probably do about 27 performances, about 15 kids camps for kids with disabilities or disease or some sort of family situation that would prevent them from going to an ordinary summer camp. We provide all those services for free. That's because we're a nonprofit.
And just good folk.
Money, come to our theater and buy tickets to see our shows.
Cool. And what's your little special one you got on at the other location?
In May, I'm doing 2 shows at the Pocket Theater in Seattle called Murder Queens. If you like Game of Thrones, but you think it's too serious, come see Murder Queens. It is the Real Housewives of Westeros. If the writers for Days of Our Lives wrote Game of Thrones, that's what we'll be doing. It'll be the stupidest thing you've ever seen.
Cool. Thank you for that, Joe.
See, I find Game of Thrones to be a laugh riot.
Yes. And behind the scenes, we have Dan helping out with the tech, with the audio and the video. Thank you there, Dan. And also in the chat room, helping with the moderating. Is Pyro in there? Because it seems, yep. Okay, looks like he's there. He just posted. Yes. So he's helping moderate the chat room. So if you are watching and you are in the twitch.tv/RPG Research chat room, you can earn hero points. And if you donate to RPG Research, a 501c3 nonprofit studying the effects of all role-playing games and their potential to improve lives, you can gain a whole bushel full of additional hero points. You can check that out at mistheroes.com under Audience Interaction for the options of how to earn hero points, buy hero points, and spend hero points. And you can help us do more of our research and community programs using music and role-playing games to improve lives. And that's at rpgresearch.com/donate. So let's get on with the show. It's been a couple of weeks. I was very, very ill last week. I apologize. I've managed not to cancel any episodes due to my illness till that time, but I was deliriously sick. So it would not have been possible to run the show myself anyway.
You don't need to apologize for being a flawed
mortal creature.
Mortal creature, yes.
So it has been 2 weeks. I did not have a chance to catch up on where we left at, so we're going to have to rely on our collective memory to try to piece it all together after this 2-week absence.
All right, then.
So when last we were here,
we had... if I remember correctly, we had just saved the Barbarian Chief of Chiefs, and the committee was wanting to give us all magic items for our work.
Adam.
Does that sound about right, guys?
Not there yet.
Actually, I believe they crowned you king of the Wood Elves.
That's right.
Because the prince was in absentia.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
that's right.
He should have showed up.
That's right.
He should have showed up.
So I'll start with John here. Let's see if we can do any better.
We were negotiating a 3-way peace between 3 people who don't like peace. Well, mainly the Northrunners aren't so fond of the peace concept at this point. Mainly because I believe, I could be wrong, I probably am wrong, but I believe that the leader of the Northronders is possessed by some form of magic or demon or something.
About General Vashtun, chief of the 9 tribes of the North.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
He's not behaving well, even
We've
for
heard
a
was a
Northronder.
jerk, but is going above and beyond the call of jerkness.
Sir Karn of the Golden Helm had said he was problematic, but even he said that this was far beyond what he had known.
And I detected some strong magics on him that indicated that he wasn't fully in control of himself.
Okay.
So we got... wow, these people, wonderful. We're dealing with the evil crows. Ravens are wonderful. They are friends of Odin. Crows are carrion rats that need to be removed from this planet.
Flying rats.
Even pigeons are better.
What do you got against pigeons?
For the crows that live in my front yard sometimes that I'm trying to befriend.
Because you don't want them to bombardier
please know
you.
that I have no association with him whatsoever.
Disclaimer to the crows.
And I have some unsalted peanuts that I've bought for
They
them.
are amazingly intelligent. They're quite
I have to say, I
intelligent.
do want to get to that level of like relationship where they barter with me. It's like, I brought you a shiny, give me food.
Exactly. That's my total plan. I like to research, like, okay, what food do crows most like?
Baby ducks.
I don't think I have that many of those.
All right. So what did Lindalay do during the previous episode? We're 40-something, 45 or something.
I sent people off to get the Hepsels switched.
The Hipsels, right?
Because we needed a priest.
Mm-hmm.
An old priest, a young priest.
Right. And didn't Lillian's character, River, take the lead on that? And so, yeah, we'll come around to that. Well, had she already come down here and traded out between...
They haven't traded out.
The Tizzle Limby and Hibbity Nibbity?
Right.
They did introduce the idea.
Okay. I think she had shown up. I think she
she's
did.
at the
yeah.
table.
Yeah.
She's at the table. But then the Tizzle's supposed to leave because they're not supposed to have more than
And we
Yeah,
had
he already
not
left. He
restarted.
Okay.
We
jumped
were
back.
still on break
Yes.
as
Yeah, because Vashtun was still trying to collect himself. He had
recover
a
from...
freak out of some kind.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she said her freaked out that like
I think he had a panic attack.
powerful lady showed up to like at all. It's like, oh no, did I screw up? What did I do?
Oh, no, I believe that was the
Hipsel was worried that he had screwed up, and that's why he's getting swapped out.
Okay.
The old lady's like, okay, I know.
Yeah. The Tizzle Limby was like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? And it was nothing that...
You think about it.
What did I do? I didn't do anything. What did I do wrong? That was that
I mean, if you
panic
can't
voice.
understand what's happening right now, that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt you need to leave.
He didn't do anything wrong. It's just that there was a need for Hibbity Nibbity to come in, who is a high-level spellcaster, it is hoped. So meanwhile, Torrens take on things from last session.
So you got this Gran, and she's just wailing away because her son's dead, and yeah, I can understand.
Oh, yeah, down, you heard this wailing to the south, yeah.
So, I could either tramp around this, battlefield of the mutilated corpses, moving around looking for a sword, or I could go back and sit in that meeting hall. So I decided to tramp around and look for this sword because that is probably the safer and better thing to do with my time. And we found it, and I had to barter with the crows, which might be magic, maybe not. I don't quite know yet. But anyways, we managed to, get them distracted with a shiny little mirror thing, and we got the old sword back to her Gran, and she could bury her son, with all the the rights and honors of a proper warrior who had fallen in battle in the eyes of Odin. And we also, wrapped his corpse up in Klaus's cloak to get him back to the Northronder camp. And that's when we saw this fellow that was just bent over double, like he was, vomiting maybe, or having some sort of, like he drunk too much. Anyways, turns out he's the leader of the Northronders. Who knew? And so we wanted to go on down there and see if he's okay, if he needs some water maybe, or, just want us to, maybe tell all the people.
Holy water.
Tell all the folks who are like, armed and very violent that maybe they shouldn't come storming down here and conducting bloody warfare because, they might think the king's being poisoned or whatever they do. But he said he was fine, so I went back to Karn.
Okay.
No bloody warfare, only mild bruising warfare.
Okay. And Moisha, what was your take on the previous episode? What was your character's take, Katie?
Moisha was most impressed at the flim flam that Tosk and Lindley were working on Backstoon.
And a little bit of
They seem to be quick talkers, and that's just not.
Lindley, it was all three. Yeah, it was.
They certainly were talking circles around that fella.
Yeah, it was. Lindley, Talk, and Farhad were all making his head spin.
Well, we can't take too much credit because we were in a battle of wits with an unarmed man. So. And 3-on-1, it's kind of...
Yeah, but Karn didn't say that he was stupid, so that's another red flag there. So he may not have been especially bright, but he wasn't.
Well, whether you're...
I don't think you get to stay the chief of the 9, clans for like 40 plus years, whatever it is, without having at least a couple of brain cells to rub together.
I have no idea what I was going to say.
Okay. So, Moisha, what do you think the prospects are with how things are unfolding?
I think it all depends on, well, everything. They seem to be willing to negotiate almost. So, if we can get this Bastoon fella to cooperate, we should be okay, I think.
Okay. And what was Rivers' take on the previous episode there, Joe?
So, we were supposed to help with negotiations with these people who had been in the middle of a long and brutal war, and for some reason, Farhad thought it was a good idea to antagonize the angry one, and that didn't seem very smart. Lindley kept playing music when it wasn't really appropriate, and I didn't understand why he was doing that either. I am pretty sure that before today is done, we're going to have to roll for initiative, because things don't look like they're going very well.
Okay.
What is this roll for initiative? Is that some sort of custom from your far
That is a little bit,
lands?
yeah, it must be something from her far lands.
It doesn't translate very well into the common tongue.
Indeed. Yeah, I tried to go for the equivalent of Japanese to the equivalent of Latin.
Yeah.
All right, and Talk, what was your take on things from last episode?
Once Talk had gotten made sure that the offside screaming was taken care of by some of his other companions, he headed back pretty much just in time to see the table flip from Vashtun, and managed to get things calmed and back on track with a little bit of fast talk, appealing to Vashtun's pride.
Pretty effectively. While making his head spin, too.
Making him feel like he is the hero of the current situation.
Well, at least telling him he was, but he was clearly confused by that perspective too. he just threw so many different things at him. He's just like, what? Yes, no, not yet, no, yet, yes, no, not, I don't know.
Thank you for agreeing.
A guy like that, it's it's really hard for them to turn down praise, even if the praise is confusing and possibly untrue.
Right. So, yeah, good.
And then we got things going again, and he eventually, through the head spinning, started to seem really confused and ill. And so we took a break so he could compose himself, and that's when we actually touched base, and all of us in the area learned about the possibility that he is being influenced from something magical. And
From talking to Linda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also from talking to River and getting the update on the Ibsil situation.
Okay.
And so he brought out a monocle that he has totally had and visibly worn and used since the canyon ambush, and totally was not something that we only got around to finally rolling and figuring out what loot kind of stuff he had recently.
Yes, of course, totally.
Yes.
That sounds so convincing.
That's the ticket.
What did he see looking through that monocle?
Looking through that monocle, which to the folks at home is an X-ray monocle that not only shows through to the bone, but also shows any magical items on a person. And let's just say if magic was a cancer, then Vashtun is a walking tumor.
What did he see?
It just all kind of weird, swirly awfulness flowing all through his body, like just like everybody, like looking at everybody else, you see a skeleton. Looking at him, you see a skeleton in a bowl full of cereal with glitter poured in, and all shaken up.
That wasn't quite the image I gave you, but okay.
And some swirling black and red food coloring in there too.
So that was kind of your enhanced version of the description.
I don't know.
He's an illusionist. That's what.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to visualize. Okay. I don't remember the exact details. I just know
it was all basically silhouette of darkness. Where he was a swirling mass of darkness.
Darkness. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was some red in there, but I could be wrong. That was
probably your own imagination. That's okay. I like it. We'll go with it. I like the glitter-filled cereal box swirl of black and red. I like it. That's more interesting. So how did he feel when he saw that? How did Doc feel?
Concerned.
Yeah.
And this was just after he'd gotten up from practically having a seizure, it seemed.
Vashtun having a seizure. Yeah, he seemed to be having like the equivalent. He was down on his hands and knees, retching and breathing really rapidly, like
it was
panic attack or
what?
Dry heaving.
Yeah, but it was like a panic attack or something.
Mm-hmm. And so he pulled. He pulled Vashtun's aide aside. Mm-hmm. And explained that he wanted to show him, to have him look through the monocle at Talk himself,
right? To
show that he's not hiding anything.
Baseline, yeah.
But really to establish, okay, this is what this magic thing does. It shows you your skeleton and magical things that you may be possessing. And then had him look at himself and see. That it seems to be consistent, and then look at his boss.
Yeah, so this was Johann Smithson you had doing this.
So Johann Smithson, once he was comfortable with the magical item, seemed very concerned at why
what he saw with Vashtun.
Why Vashtun
and
was
he'd been concerned. You could tell he'd been concerned the whole time,
and confused.
Yeah.
And I imagine if he wasn't so confused and concerned before, he probably would be a little bit less trusting of an illusionist showing him something. But
Yeah.
Does this magical monocle have TSA engraved on the edge of it?
Right, it's a scattergram, yeah. All right, so that, I think, brings it up. So we've got Hibbity Nibbity took over for Detizzle Limby as far as the Hibsel next to the Centaur leader being Florian Swiftfoot. We have, so at the south table, we have the General Ironcrest of the Wood Elves, and to his right, Deslock, who has been pretty hot-headed as a Wood Elf as well. At the western table...
Thanks, Joe.
The western table goes north to south, and at that table, so we now have Rory and Swiftfoot, and then on his left is Hibbity Nibbity, the very elderly female Hibsel with lots of beads and other stuff. So kind of imagine, if you will, kind of a
hippie Hibsel?
Old hippie woman Hibsel, yeah.
Smells a bit cholly.
Did you ever watch Farscape?
Yes.
Do you remember the witch woman
Yes.
with the extra eye? Kind of like that, except but as a Hibsel.
I don't recall that one.
Okay. It was a little later. She came in later seasons.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with the earlier seasons.
But yeah, just kind of totally hippied out like that. Did you have a conversation with her yet? Did Lindley speak to her?
I don't think I was there to give a chance to talk to her at all.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, wait a minute. I did.
You were going to. I don't know if you
I got up to her enough to tell her that to look at him, and I believe there's some form of possession. I explained
so
magic.
You said that, and then she needed to verify and all that. Okay. And then at the north table, which is going east and west as well, we have Vashtun, and to his right, Johan Smithson. They're standing, getting ready to sit back down. At the corner, and correct me if I'm wrong on this time, Joe, and you were right last time, and I screwed up on my notes, but you moved there anyway. So my understanding now is you are at the north end of the Centaur table, where basically where the North Run and Centaur table meets. You're at the north end of the Centaur table. Yeah. My apologies for getting that screwed up in my notes last time. Luckily, there was no real harm done, but
It's not like I had to take an extra move to stab somebody.
Yeah. And then in the open gap, so we've got this U here. At the open end of it, so the east side of that, are all these assortment of chairs. And we have Karn and Dranera and Moisha and River and Klaus. So Klaus is the cousin, it turns out, of Johan Smithson, you guys found out. So also a North Ronder who had joined you guys some ways back.
My first convert to the glorious Fist of Cord.
You converted him to Cord, exactly.
Although there could be, there's likely going to be a fissure in the religious organization between those two, because they have different concepts.
And I think that was everybody who was in the chairs, right? Torin.
Oh, I had just gotten back, so
right. Yeah. But basically, the rest of you were all back at those chairs.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I think that places everybody where they belong, correct?
All right.
And so Vashtun had come back around and was standing there at the chair. He seemed to have calmed down and composed himself, still a bit red-faced and breathing a little heavily, but back under control. His aide, though, is looking jittery as heck and keeps looking around very nervously. You know, before it was worry, now he looks like he's on the verge of panic. Mm-hmm. He clearly is uncertain what to do. Now, the rest of you who aren't aware of what he saw see this dramatic change in the aide and do not know why he is suddenly acting this way. All you know is he went back around the pavilion. His superior freaked out, then came back, and so it may be just related to that. You know, you don't know.
You probably saw Talk go up and talk to him.
Yeah, but so you certainly could ask Talk if you wanted, but you don't know what he saw. So just keep that.
So is there any like water or refreshments on the stand somewhere or anything like that? Or
nope.
Okay.
No. It was just tables and chairs in the pavilion.
Yeah, I think we thought about that, and it was just too tense of a situation
thrown.
for anyone to trust any food or water or beverage provided by anyone.
What if there was a water bender? That's Lillian.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right. So, Lindale, you were kind of handling the proceedings, were you? Or?
I was the MC of the proceedings.
Right. So the
River
parties are
was
back
the
at the table.
adjudicator
And the entertainment
Right.
during
during the
during
intermissions.
Yes. So,
I last
all the
talked.
parties are back.
Just finished talking to
Hibbity
Nibbity.
Okay.
And
You see her watching carefully.
so
You know she's not going to overtly go, blah, 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 you know.
right. So I know I need to
Take a little
restart
time.
the procedures. Are all present and accounted for again?
You hear a bunch of yes from Pashtun, a grunt.
And are everybody ready to proceed?
You see nods.
Lord Fashtun, you are better, I hope.
His eyes flare at you.
Good. We are willing to proceed. Our last part of the conversation was we had agreed to formulate a truce, and we are now to work out the details.
He's looking warily at you, like he's still trying to process that.
I do believe...
The others nod their heads. You just see him looking at you warily.
I believe Talk had them enumerate their strengths and what they had to offer each other. And at least at one point it was agreed that they were stronger as one as opposed to many smaller pieces.
You see the wood elves and the centaur nod. The Hipsel is new to this, and she's just looking at the centaur and Askins, and he just nods, and she's like, okay. You see Johann nod again, looking around nervously, and Vashtun still just looking at you warily.
I also do believe it has been agreed that the Northronders will stay in the northern, currently unused proportion of the Wood Elf's territory and will not have any further incursions to that area, with the exception of defense from the centaurs. Is this agreed upon?
You see Deathlock with his fists on the table, clenching angrily and whispering angrily to the general. And the general is listening and nodding his head, shakes his head. So meanwhile, the centaur Quarian is, that is our understanding, yes. And everybody looks expectantly at the general Ironcrest. And, well, as long as there's no further incursions, yes. For the winter, to allow the Northronders to settle for the winter, a temporary settlement. Not to be longer. We will have to discuss it again after the spring thaws.
And were there other current discussion about the possibility of trade?
Florian nods. Ironcrest is, there is the possibility, yes. Vashtun is looking at you and other parties warily. Seems to be trying to process it, but he hasn't agreed or disagreed, hasn't, yelled or anything like that yet. Doesn't seem to be boiling over at this moment, but it's still kind of just seeming to try to keep up.
If all parties will, may I nominate the spring solstice as a date,
or the equinox, or
equinox,
the
or whatever. Equinox.
Okay.
Yes, the spring equinox as a date to reassess and reevaluate any treaties signed today.
We would be fine with that, General Ironcrest. Florian is.
I hope that having a specific date chosen rather than a vague concept of spring thaw will help everyone feel more comfortable.
Yes.
And hopefully remove debate about the definition of spring thaw come next year.
Voshtoon's just watching each of the... But so far, the Wood Elves and the Centaurs, other than Deslock clearly disagreeing, the Centaurs and the Wood Elves clearly agree.
Also, may I suggest that if there is a name for the region that we are discussing as a temporary settlement, a specific name, or if we could choose a specific name, I believe that would help with the contracts and the negotiations. If we can,
General Ironcrest, in your tongue, it would translate simply as the North Quarter.
North Quarter. All right. And is there what is there a clear defined border?
Yes, the rivers that come around it and the road are, and then the tree line and the rivers where they cut the tree line. Yes, it's clearly defined.
Excellent.
East of that is the Dragon Spine Mountains, and it's uninhabitable. North of there as well. And then west of there is the road and the Centaur lands.
Does everyone agree that that is a easily acceptable border for this particular region?
Ironcrest nods, Florian nods, Deslock glares, Voshtoon gives a slight nod. And you see his aide look hopefully at him for the moment, though still warily.
Excellent. So I believe that that should get us ready for the next stage of negotiations.
You notice Hibbity Nibbity under the table, because there's no tablecloths or anything, is doing some gestures in the direction her hands are a little bit of a glow going, and does some gestures over under the table towards Voshtoon's direction.
I'm probably the only one that can see that because I'm so short and in the middle.
No, he notices it well. Pretty much all of your group can see that. She
it just
did it in a way that the rest probably didn't see.
Quick reminder. So everyone in the group was updated on the we think blah blah is enchanted.
I don't think everybody's been brought up to speed on that. No.
All right then.
I don't think Torin has been brought up to speed on that.
Oh, Torin panics.
I believe Torin and Klaus.
Let's see. All right.
I believe Torin and Klaus.
I'm rolling con to see if I nodded off.
They know that the guy is ill, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to roll my con to see if I nodded off because I haven't slept in like a day straight.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I'm still awake.
All right.
You didn't trust them
wells. Yeah. Okay. So who would I be sitting next to, Karn or Klaus? Or?
You want to sit next? Yeah, you have Klaus on your left and Karn on your right, and Janera, and yeah.
All right, then I kind of perk up when I see like the little bit of glow as I wipe the drool from my face. It's like, kind of like nudge Karn. It's like,
What?
What was that? Eh?
We'll see. She's here to help.
All right.
Farhad?
I kind of give Klaus a nudge. Like, she's here to help. Shh.
He's looking very worried because this is his kindred, and he's like alarmed. What do you mean? What do you mean you're here to help? What?
I don't know, Carter. I'm just here to help out.
Is she casting spell on our men? That's not okay. That's our kin.
Nudging Claus like, so, hey, what's she doing?
Look, she must be trying to enchant him.
Well, Carr knows about it, and I assume so does everyone else that can see under the table.
Cardinals?
Carr,
Yeah. So he just leans back. Con, Sir Con! Yes. You see? Yes, she's trying to help. You sure? Okay.
sit up straighter and not nod off.
We can all hear you.
You can definitely hear the conversation going on. It's hard to make out what.
That was out of character.
Okay, but then you shouldn't do it in character voice.
It's not hard.
Yes.
Do you have enough information to start putting out the outline of the contract?
So Farhod's at the north end of the centaur table, at the west end of the north round table. He's writing on parchment or vellum with a quill and everything. He's taking notes about this agreement and everything. So he's busy writing up this contract.
I've been basically listening and writing.
Mm-hmm.
And the contract, I have the first copy of the contract ready. But if we're having three parties, that means you have to have 3 copies, blah, 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 blah. So everybody has a copy, everybody signs every copy.
The Wood Elves did provide you with extra material so that such a thing can be done.
That's totally cool.
Okay.
I love how in our D&D game we're talking about contract law. Yes. If anybody's in Seattle, meet me at 10 p.m. for bar review. Bar exam notes on contract law. Fred, the first one is ready to be signed. If there is nothing more to add.
And this includes the Hipstals as part of the Centaur faction, and that everybody has agreed to...
Yes, dear. Yes, dear.
Yeah. Mutual benefit and protection.
I did write...
Party, don't. Bashtoon interrupts. Mutual protection.
Do you object to, if the Jotun attack you, that the Centaurs come to your aid?
No.
Then mutual protection it is.
No doubt you could handle it.
But we're not going to help the Wood Elves.
And you object to the Wood Elves saving your life.
We don't need them to save our life. We can take care of ourselves. He pounds the table once again.
Well, yes, but of course you can handle just about anything aside from the most grievous disasters. But should the most grievous of disasters occur, would you rather your people all die, or
no, of course not. I need to protect my people. Yeah.
Okay, so you would be willing to accept help from just about anyone under such dire circumstances?
It would depend. We can't trust the Wood Elves.
Well, that's why we have a contract.
You see Deslock just glowering at him, just clenching to the table with his
You see, if all 3 parties here sign this contract, then all 3 parties will have a copy of it, and will therefore be able to hold each other accountable. If for any reason the Wood Elves or the Centaurs were to infringe upon your rights in the contract, you would be able to hold that against them, just as they would
If they betray us, we will destroy them.
But in this case, you would have the right to.
Yes.
Can I suggest...
Who said I wouldn't have a right to?
Did you not say... you said 3 copies. Can we send a 4th copy to the Druids? For safekeeping, of course.
I have included a clause in each of the copies. It's going to say, it's in this one right here, points, if any violation of this contract, enforcement will be done by the two parties not in violation.
I'm poking Carter. It's like, so does that mean like if the Wood Elves attack Northronders, the Centaurs would have to attack the Wood Elves? Is that what that means?
Yes, that would be the mutual defense. Everybody would have to defend everybody.
From other signatories in this contract.
Vashtun's eyes are just bulging. You can see him trying to process this.
If the Wood Elves betray you, the Centaurs will help you burn their forests to the ground. If the Centaurs betray you, the Wood Elves will help, I don't know, tear apart their stables.
So when you say burn the wood to the ground, Deathlock stands up and you can tell he's about ready to belt out. The general puts his hand on his shoulder and forcefully puts him in his seat.
We mean not, of course, literally, figuratively burn the forest down. More likely, they would punish the people, not the territory. The trees are innocent, of course.
Besides, we all know that Lord Deathlock and their people are honorable enough that they will not be the source of betrayal. So, it's a moot point.
Only honorable people sign contracts.
And follow them.
Shall we begin gathering the signatures? And the signatures.
I agree. Everybody does that.
Before we get that to that
for
point,
respect.
are there any additions any party would like to make to this contract? Anything that they feel would make them more comfortable?
Slowly stands up uncertainly. What happens if... So you're saying that if the Centaurs try to take the land from us that we now have, the Wood Elves will help us to fight the Centaurs.
Yes.
And vice versa.
And you are saying that if the Wood Elves try to take the land back from us, that the Centaurs will help us.
Yes. And if a fourth party were to attack you,
if the Jotun come down,
or Mordred or anyone else, the Wood
Elves...
Elves...
Mordred, you soft Southerners.
The Wood Elves and the Centaurs would come to your aid, no matter who was attacking you.
And of course...
Quiet! Words! Stop! Enough! General! The general stands up, composed as he does. Yes, General Vashtun. You swear by your kin you will not betray us. Deathlock is just turning purple, trying to hold on to himself. Yes, I so swear it. For the good of... I swear by my kin, for my kin, and for the good of us all. We will not betray this agreement. We will come to your protection. It will be difficult, as he looks at Deathlock, to convince all my people to do this. But I have the authority to make this agreement, and I do swear by it. Rorian. Rorian looks over at him calmly. You swear the same. Of course. It is only a little grievance we have between us. We'll... Of course, many times we've rode side by side to help. Do not try to take our lands again. We will be there to help if you are needed. And we can help with the food to help your people get through the winter. Pashtun just gives a long, slow breath.
I would like to add one last detail to the contract. It's a simple one. In the absence of another meet to renegotiate the contract in the spring equinox, the contract will remain binding until such contract is done. It doesn't just go away. It only can be undone by a mutual vote of all three parties.
I don't understand what you just said. Again.
Your agreement stands until all three of you agree mutually that it does not.
No. You said equinox.
Oh.
Spring. Equinox. This only lasts until spring equinox.
Yes, unless of course a meeting cannot be arranged. Then it will be delayed until the meeting happens.
No. No.
Do you want them to kick you out on the first sign of spring?
No.
Is the time frame too short for you?
We agree until spring equinox to this truce.
Do you agree to then negotiate for some other arrangement?
Lindley.
Yes, Farad.
It seems that we have an agreement.
I think we
I, as a experienced contract writer, believe it is always good to stop when you do have an agreement.
Agreed. So, are we ready to sign then?
General Ironcrest nods. General Florian nods. Pashtun very hesitantly nods with like a look of, yeah. Yes. What do you do?
I look to Farhad to start handing out the papers first. Oh, wait a minute. She probably ought to gather in the center and make it a ceremony thing.
So you say aloud,
yes,
or just thinking it?
I do say that.
We don't need ceremony. Just give me the paper to read it.
Of course. Would you need any assistance with that? It is written in which language did you write it in?
I wrote it in Common.
So Regnum Common depends on where you are. Regnum Sapientium is the common tongue in this area.
Yeah, I wrote it in the language of the land. I did not write it in Iridian or Elvish or anything else.
Okay,
well, as it's in Regnum Sapientium, I assume you will have no problems.
Right.
If there's any confusion, because we all know that legal contracts can sometimes be a little complicated in their wording. If there's any confusion of any party, we will, of course, read the contract aloud.
Enough! Let's see the paper.
I'm furiously...
Yeah. Yep.
Well, it seems we are...
As soon as I have a second copy done, I hand it off.
Okay. His aide comes up to you and takes it, in a friendly manner.
I was just thinking time frame. Should we have taken a break at that point until he was caught up, or
it really wasn't that long since the last break, so everybody's just kind of watching Farhad expectantly.
Yeah. Okay.
So Johan Smithson brings it over and lays it out in front of Pashtun. You see Pashtun trying to read it and really struggling, and you notice Carnson. He shouldn't have any trouble reading that. He's not illiterate.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Farhad's handwriting's real bad. I mean, doesn't it really have all the little squiggles and whatnots to it?
Could be.
Okay.
So, anything we should be aware of in the contract that you wrote there, Joe?
Any
that Farhad
gotchas?
wrote?
Everything in there is basically exactly how we laid it out and spoken aloud.
Okay.
There is like the difference between will and shall. And, he has written in things that are very specific in terms of contracts.
Okay.
That the layperson might not know the difference of, but
All right. So he's trying to read it, and you see him trying to point at the letters, and his hand keeps swirling, like turning around and around.
See, swirly letters, like I was saying, yeah.
Dyslexia.
And he just can't seem to get. But his aide is now whispering to him, reading it to him as he pulls his hand back and just holds his fist on the table, looking like he's reading, but clearly not at this point. But his aide's whispering it to him.
I did write it in spiral. Is that?
Spyro Gyro. So, as his aide's whispering to him, you're working on your next copy. Who are you going to give that to, the Centaurs or the Wood Elves?
The second copy goes to the Wood Elves since they're giving up the most.
Okay.
And they have the second most unreasonable person at the table.
Okay. So you're working on that. So the Johann is whispering to him, and everybody's watching Vashtun very expectantly since he's been the most difficult. And he's like, I don't understand. Why are you speaking gibberish? Speak to me plainly. I am, and you can hear them loudly whispering back and forth. No, say that again. And he starts, and he nods, and then he's like, no, that doesn't make any, what is that? That doesn't make any sense. So they're arguing. He's like, which part? This part? He says, all of it. You're speaking gibberish.
So, is that Hipsel still doing like the things?
Yeah, she just did it briefly, and then stopped. So yeah, it is kind of a little bit of a break period if you want to get up and talk to people and such, while Farhad furiously scratches away since we don't have any photocopy magic at this point.
I mean, with all the other magic you think that would be...
Yeah. What's that?
You think with all the other magic you have at lower level, someone would be like, it'd be like a chance of just, or a cantrip of just... Boop, boop.
It's not a cantrip, it's a higher level spell. It's called copy page, and the wizards use it. Contract negotiators don't usually have that magic behind them.
Yeah.
Okay, now I feel like I should make a scribe that has like that as like the one thing he does. Just
that's right. In Thieves' World. Actually, there's a character in here that's what they were. Was they literally made copies of contracts all day long as an apprentice. But they were also like gladiator fighters during the open battles.
Oh, of course, yes. That makes perfect sense.
Ex-slave person. Anyway,
I'm
I think
going
it
to
was a female.
approach Hibbity-Dibbity.
Okay,
Hibbity-Nibbity. While she's waiting for hers, because obviously she's going to be the last one.
Yep.
And
actually, Corian, really, but yeah.
Well, her table.
Both of them, yeah.
And I.
Do you share my concerns?
Oh, very much. Very much.
Should we do something before or after he signs? I'm not sure that he's going to be capable of signing before.
If we can get him to sign, that would be great. But if we can't get him to sign, we may have to do something.
I will present him with my pen, and if he isn't able to sign at that point, then will that be your cue to do something?
I'm going to do something.
I'm going to come over there too.
Something horrible will happen. Whatever it is quite powerful and very dangerous.
I'm going to go over there too and join this conversation.
Okay.
Well, ideally, he'll sign, and then you'll actually be legally obligated to save him from whatever's infecting him.
That is an excellent point.
So at some point, I'm just like, so I'm talking to Karn's like, so should we like, if he needs some magic, and should we just go to like his camp? You got like what, shamans? Is that what they got? Hey, Karn, is that what they got?
Yeah, we have the shamans. Yeah.
So if he needs something, should we go get him?
It would be up to him if he would allow it or not, or at least perhaps Johan could do so.
What do you think? Talking to Karn.
It's... We have to tread carefully. He keeps looking over Vashtun. This is not the man I knew. It's been decades, but I don't think we can trust or predict what he'll do. I would be surprised if you can get him to sign, from what I'm seeing.
But you think he doesn't know how to write his own name? I mean, I struggle sometimes because there's 2 R's.
He doesn't seem to understand. Unless he's had too many blows to the head since I last saw him years ago. That is not the person I knew.
Huh.
He was always a hothead. But this is nothing like him.
Yeah.
It wasn't clearly him.
Lord
I wouldn't believe
Vashtun,
it was him.
I pull my fancy quill out of my hat, and I present it to him.
are you ready to sign?
I'm still reading this. He looks uncomfortable. And he's like...
Is she going
She's
nudging
trying
towards
to gesture to you to come back to her.
Okay, she's going.
Well, I'm still next to her, so
Yeah.
I will leave the pen with you, and I head back towards her.
You don't understand. If it is what you think it is, it could take hours or days to cleanse him. He'll have to be tied down.
well, I've alerted his assistant to the problem, and he is aware that there is something wrong with his person, with Vashtun, and he is concerned. So, should this turn sideways, I believe he will be ready and available to assist in some way, shape, or form.
It's entirely possible.
And what is River doing right now?
Yeah, what's River doing, Joe?
River's just watching the whole thing. Not really sure what to do.
Okay.
Hey, who's got her character sheet?
I do.
Cool.
What do you need to know?
Any spells prepared?
Yes, she has some. I don't know that any of them are useful, but
Right.
You can predict the weather.
yeah.
She has her jujitsu, stunning with his stunning incapacity, so she can definitely knock him out. Maybe. Trinket, personal bond, proficiency of spells. Chameleon, cloud ladder, comprehend languages, detect magic, drowsy insects. I think it's going to help you sleep or something. I don't know. Hypnotism,
She can drowse
no history,
insects.
magic missile, read magic shield, still water, swim, unseen servant, wall of fog.
Hypnotism. How powerful is that?
Short, minor, like combat round duration of things.
I believe I've got that.
Okay, you look up hypnotism. I gotta look at my spell I'm gonna be casting. I know what I'm gonna be casting.
It's a level 1 enchantment.
Just along with the.
Yeah, it is a first level spell. In the Wu Jian book.
Duration 1 round plus one round per level. Casting time 1 segment.
And what's it do?
The gestures of the illusionist, along with his or her droning incantation, cause from 1 to 6 creatures to become susceptible to suggestion. See the 3rd level magic user suggestion spell. The suggestion must be given after the hypnotism spell is cast, and until the time the success of the spell is unknown.
Note that the subsequent suggestion is not a spell, but simply a vocalized urging. Creatures which make their saving throw are not under hypnotic influence.
I think
that's not the kind of thing you ask without.
Yeah, that's
noted.
But I think that if it is what I think it is.
Hold on a sec.
Oh, Nibbity's trying to speak. I think I could hold him in place for a little bit, magically. Then you would need to hurry. That's not what I'm talking about, but then you would need to quickly tie him up. Then perhaps you, River, could try to calm him. And then, if it is what I think it is, then he is possessed, which is what it looks like it may be. It will then take potentially hours or days to set him free, and it could kill him in the process. The problem is, if we take any such action with these open pavilions, his men will see that we've seized him and tied him. So unless we have some way to stop them from charging down the field, it will trigger a full attack.
So we have to let the aide be aware before we do
need to get his permission somehow, yes.
Yes. How do we separate the aide? River, can you distract Vashtun long enough for us to separate the aide? Or I can distract him because he hates me enough to focus on me. And then you can get the aides. Whichever one you want to do.
I think I would be more comfortable speaking with the aide than trying to distract him. I think that anything that draws his attention will face some difficulties.
I will then act as a distraction because I do believe it will be fairly easy for him to not like me.
Yeah, you don't really have to try for that one.
Yeah. So I lean forward to Moisha, who I assume is sitting in front of me because he's short and we can see over him. I was like, what do you think of the Wishman about?
That's you, Moisha.
I think it's horribly wrong. I imagine they're trying to fix it.
Oh.
I wish I could help.
So, do you think it's going well?
You see a lot of stressed out, worried faces.
I thought we were close to an agreement, but something's gone terribly wrong.
Huh.
I don't know how to help.
Again.
Yeah. I don't know nothing about this here politicking.
All right.
I tell River.
Excuse me.
He is aware that there's some magical force filling Vashtun.
How does he know?
I took the liberty of showing him.
How did he react to that?
With this. Just his monocle.
But how did he react to it? Was he defensive?
I was speaking of Johann.
Was he defensive, or did he accept what he saw?
He was concerned and seemed to be trusting of what he was seeing, and so and I believe it did confirm some fears he'd been having. And answered some confusions he's been harboring based on his leader's behavior. So I do believe that should we get to the next step, as long as we do it respectfully and clearly that he will aid us in some way.
Okay. So, River, you're going to go talk to Johan, and John, you're going to go talk to Vashtun?
Correct.
All right, so you two approach. Which of you wants to speak first?
Well, the discretion has to start first, so.
Okay.
Lord Vashtun.
He looks up at you, glowers at you. I'm busy.
Yes.
What do you want?
I wanted to make sure the pen was acceptable to you.
The quill?
Yes, the quill.
What about it?
Can you show me Can you show me your signature? I want to make sure
I
that
have to
it
finish
works.
reading it first before I will sign it. I will not just sign it blindly.
Well, it's a simple document. I do believe that you have a clear understanding of what we agreed.
He just pounds his hands on the table. I will finish reading it when I have finished reading it. Do not hurry me.
Oh, I do not intend to hurry you. I do.
Okay, so while you're having this dialogue, River? Joe?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, that was his river right there. So.
River being silent as usual.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know the most appropriate way to say this in your culture, but it looks like your chieftain, your leader, your king, he may be possessed by a demon or controlled by a magician. Or,
how do you know?
There's something bad inside him.
Who told you? He looks around warily. He hunkers down. Remember, he's 6.5 feet tall, so he hunkers down to River's height.
Right.
How do you know this too?
I can do a little bit of magic, and I'm really good at punching things. And I can see he's magically impaired. When someone is drunk,
driving under the influence of magic, DUIM.
So he behaves not like himself.
Yeah, he's been completely different for some time.
So
he kind of moves away from Vashtun while they're arguing.
So the deer spirit lady, she thinks if we could just put him to sleep gently, tie him up for a day or two, we could take the
tie him up. Are you mad? If we tie him up, our men will come charging down here.
That's where you come in.
What do you mean? Oh, no. You're not asking me to.
You're important, right?
He as he figures out, you see him slump. You are asking me to.
Meanwhile,
if this goes wrong, they will have my head.
Well, if it goes right, they will have your head too, but it will be smart and attached to your body and will lead them to a glorious future.
Okay, meanwhile?
I step up to Lindalay and Vashtun and say, if it would help speed things along, I could ask the scribe to make a contract, a copy of it in larger letters.
I'm not having trouble reading. How dare you?
Oh no! I wouldn't.
Perhaps comprehend languages would help.
I wouldn't suggest.
I'm not having trouble understanding. How dare you?
I wouldn't suggest that you couldn't read or understand it. Just that perhaps your vision may not be what it used to be.
My vision's just fart. There's nothing wrong with my vision.
Well, there's nothing wrong.
And what pretty eyes you have.
So you're staring closely into his eyes?
Yes.
Roll your wisdom.
I'm going to get freaked out. Okay. Now find my.
Then it jumps into you.
Yes.
Wisdom.
There's nothing, of course, wrong with anyone having their vision fade over
eyes,
time.
which were ice blue, turn black, completely black. Like all the irises, everything, the whites all go black as he looks at you. Make a saving throw versus spell.
Saw that coming.
Now that's not right. As I die. No, one card. Way back here.
I mean,
15.
I guess his eyes are kind of nice looking,
Yes.
but I mean, that's not really something you just say to a fella like that.
13.
Okay.
Do I have time to scream out? For my face melts?
You feel a tingling sensation and you cannot move. You're not paralyzed, but you just...
Can I talk?
You're looking at him like you were, and you don't look artificial yet at this point because you were just you're just like giving him a close look.
I look like a bird staring at a snake.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're really close. Do we ever do that?
So since you're there too, you saw this interaction. You saw the eyes go black, and then looks at you.
I do not make eye contact.
You quickly look down. Okay.
I just wanted to see if I could be of any help. Clearly you're doing fine.
Look at me, little one, he says very awkwardly and seems distant.
Is his voice odd?
He just speaking like...
Did he lose his accent?
Wow.
It's just very awkward and it sounds different. Look at me, little one.
Wait, can we hear that from the peanut gallery? Because I've been commenting and watching on there.
Yeah, because he does not have a quiet voice.
Yeah. Is that normal? Is that like a Nordlander thing?
And now you're noticing that...
Don't do it, talk.
You're noticing... Is that what Moishe does? Just calls out, don't do it?
Yes.
That's a year from the peanut gallery.
I eat one of my candies.
Don't do it, Doc.
I eat one of the candies from my pocket. This is getting intense.
You're noticing that he hasn't moved now for a little bit. What do you do, Doc?
Taking a gamble, I reach into my pocket and grip my hand around around a certain medallion that I've had
from the beginning.
Since I was born.
That nobody's seen.
Right.
Okay.
And I allow myself to submit to it a little.
Okay, remind me what this is supposed to do.
It had the lady on the one side and the spider on the other, and
oh, jeez. Okay, all right. Did I fill you in on that at all? Or did I fill you in on that at all?
Yeah. Well, he knows that it's bad news and that he should get rid of it, but he doesn't.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And kind of thought that maybe.
So you're holding on to that while you look up.
That maybe the unless I'm really unlucky and it's the same entity behind both of these things, I figure. Whatever is influencing me in the medallion
might counter it.
Might not like sharing.
Okay,
it's kind of what I'm.
So then you look up.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we roll initiative?
No save. No save. You feel a cold sensation go through your body, and you hear a voice whispering in your head. Go sit down. It'll be okay. And you feel now a warm feeling of safety come through you. Like, oh, everything's fine. I have nothing to worry about. I'll be taken care of. It's almost like a maternal hug wraps around you. As you look up into the black eyes, you feel that warm embrace surround you.
Does it feel familiar to how the medallion makes me feel?
Yes.
Correct.
Well, we were winning.
It was a gamble.
It was. No, I think it was a great idea. So what do you do? What does Tuck do?
Well,
all your worries just washed away. You feel warm and safe.
Well, I go sit down.
Okay.
Where you sit down
just turn and go sit down.
Why did you do that?
Do what?
You just like, hey, everything's fine. It'll be okay. It'll all work out.
Everything's okay. I think we're about done.
Nice phrasing.
Anybody notice that I'm not breathing?
Is Lindley all right over there? I mean, he's just kind of standing there.
Oh, he's fine.
He's just kind of standing there.
Everything's all right. I think we're almost done.
Yeah.
And you hear a distant voice like it's trying to talk to you, but doesn't seem to be able to quite get through you. And then you feel the tingling sensation start to fade away and gain back your motion. You have no concept that you just lost that time. You don't realize there was a pause.
Oh.
Right.
So I just continue in the middle of the sentence.
As though nothing happened.
The most beautiful
but
blue
you had
eyes.
this sensation that there was somebody trying to talk to you in your head, but it was distant. It was like somebody far away calling. And it was a soft female voice.
Grandmother?
And it was comforting and calling to you, but it was like distant.
So I'm like nudging her. I was like,
and you're seeing blue eyes at this point.
Yeah. The most beautiful blue eyes. Your people must be very proud of you. And
yes.
They are very concerned that this would proceed on much further for you. So if there is any way that we can provide you some assistance, I would gladly do that.
You need to go get him help.
Do I instinctively know who him?
Yes. You instinctively get the feeling you should go up to the Northern encampment calmly, try not to raise attention, and go get help for Vashtun.
Oh, okay. So maybe
he's in danger and you feel you need to help him.
Okay.
But you don't want anybody to notice.
All right. How much do I want to be not noticed?
You just don't want to be too obvious about it. You don't need to be super sneaky.
Okay.
So we're going to leave it right there because we got to take a break. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Cliffhanger. Dun dun dun.
Stupid saving throws.
I almost made it.
Yes.